Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 117. I am Brendan. We're going to talk about PFL numero uno, season 4, I think this is, season 5. I don't remember. I got to be honest, I didn't pay attention to the seasons before this as much as I could have. I will be this season. This is the 2022 PFL number 1, lightweights and light heavyweights. We are going to go over the results and what I think about them, starting with the main event. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel. I talk about MMA a lot. I go over every UFC card. I do this at least once a week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and please like this video. It'll let me know that you're interested in the PFL as well, because maybe I'm just wasting my time with these videos, but I hope not, because I actually had a fun time. Speaking of which, this card was pretty damn good, right? Especially the way it started off. It ended with an absolute banger. Clay Collard taking on Jeremy Stephens. Amazing fight. You could have put this in the UFC, and I don't think anybody would have complained about skill level, entertainment, any of that stuff. I thought it was excellent. Also, if you're watching this and you normally don't watch a PFL and you don't kind of understand when I mention these things, I will tell you. So the PFL is the only MMA organization with a regular season, a playoff, and then a championship, right? And then the winner of that championship gets $1 million guaranteed. Now, Bellator has recently done tournaments, and the winner of those tournaments gets $1 million as well. I think taking notes from PFL, which is interesting. So the PFL definitely making some of the other organizations take notice and step up their game as well, which is pretty interesting. But anyway, there are 2 scheduled fights in the regular season for each fighter. A win gets you 3 points, and then you can get up to 3 bonus points based off finishing. So if you finish in the first round, you get 3 bonus points. You finish the fight in the second round, you get 2, then 1. Then if you get a decision win, you only get 3 points. You get 0 points for a loss, obviously. Okay, and then based off of the point structure, then they go to the playoffs. That's how they get the seeding, and then that's how you end up with the championship. So, interesting. It's been around for a few years now. This used to be called World Series of Fighting, which is where Justin Gaethje, one of my favorite current fighters, came from. And he left because there was a hiatus, and they weren't going to have an organization. They weren't going to have a season right away. So because of that, he needed a source of income and went to the UFC. Okay. I liked the production quality. I thought it would look really good. The commentary was perfection. Okay. Kenny Florian, Randy Couture, and I don't remember the last guy's name. I thought they did a phenomenal job talking exactly how much they need to, not over-explaining things, not talking over the action, a little bit of fun, witty banter between them, so you can kind of get like this fun, playful environment from them that I do enjoy about the UFC, that I think is kind of missing in some of the other organizations that you'll watch, like Bellator. And then as far as the professionalism, I thought it was, again, perfection. I think this commentary team might have been one of my favorite I have heard. Maybe not ever, because I'd have to go back, but they were excellent. Let's just put it that way. So good. Lighting is good, which is a big pet peeve of mine. Bad lighting in a professional setting drives me nuts. Sound mix was good. Like, you could hear enough of what was going on inside there, but it wasn't distracting. I think they got the correct mixture. This is much better than when it was called World Series of Fighting. Obviously, I did watch some PFL last year. I have seen the highlights. I did watch some of the events, but I do remember watching World Series of Fighting and thinking like, oh, this must be some amateurish organization or something, finding out, oh, no, this is, it was on ABC or whatever, or CBS, and it was a fully funded professional league. Anyway, first fight, let's talk about that. Clay Collard versus Jeremy Stephens. This is the main event, not the first fight. Collard took... This was a fantastic fight, by the way. I said it at the top. I think this was a banger. If you did not watch this and you can only catch the highlights, wait till you can see the full fight and go back and watch this. It is worth your time, I promise. Jeremy Stephens, obviously the UFC staple, the UFC veteran, fighting for the UFC forever. Tons of excitement. He's got, that famous, I think it was UFC 100 where he knocked out Rafael dos Anjos with that giant uppercut. He's got so many highlights, and he fights in a way that either he's going to be the highlight or he's going to be a part of somebody else's. And in this fight, Clay Collard took all that damage and just kept walking forward. So the first one, Clay took so much damage in that first round, but he looked good, and he was wearing it better than the damage he was throwing back at Stevens. Now, I gave the first round to Stevens because the shots were bigger coming from Stevens, right? So that cumulative damage and also the immediate damage, I think, was in favor of Stevens, even though he was a little bit winded and, not gassed necessarily, but he wasn't, holding himself up in perfect posture and looking like nothing affected him or anything like that. The damage done, I think, was in favor of Jeremy Stevens in the first round. It was kind of, I guess you could give it to Clay, but I gave it to Stevens. I did. Second round, visually, Jeremy looked way worse, but he was still landing the bigger shots. I think the cumulative damage in round 2 probably went to Clay Collard. Here's the thing, though. If you land 30 taps and the other guy lands one big shot that rocks you, guess what? That one big shot's more important because those 30 cumulative shots didn't rock you or didn't rock your opponent. Okay? So damage matters. Damage is first. I have a video on this. It doesn't, we don't have to reiterate it now, but damage is first. That's why I gave the first round to Jeremy Stevens and why I was even leaning in the second round. I understand it doesn't look good that he was taking step back and he got outstruck by like 20 strikes in this round. I get that, right? I totally understand, and I even gave the second round to Clay Collard, but if someone were to tell me like, oh, I think Jeremy Stevens did more damage in that second round with the shots that he did land, including rocking Collard at least once, I would say, yeah, absolutely. But I gave it to Collard in 1919. And then there was forward pressure and big shots from Jeremy Stevens in the third round. And he was landing the big shots, and yes, he was getting tagged himself, but I think he went 1-for-1 with Collard, and yeah, Collard wore them really well, right? A lot of those shots, he didn't shrug them off, like he, I don't think he got wobbled in the third round, but, he got hit with some big damaging blows. It's just Jeremy Stevens took more, I would call them pity pat shots. He took some good ones himself. Honestly, if you gave the last round to Collard, I wouldn't be mad, and I could probably give it to him myself, and that's fine. Collard winning this fight isn't a big deal, but that's not what happened. The judges gave it 30-27 to Collard, and that told me one thing about, on this night, what they were looking for and how it's wrong. They were looking for forward pressure and volume, right? And that's exactly what they went off of. They didn't go off of damage. I'm not saying that Jeremy Stevens won this fight outright. I'm not saying that he should have, won all 3 rounds, nor do I think that, this is a robbery of any sort. I'm just telling you that from my perspective, he should have at least won the first round, possibly the third, and then the second is also arguable. I understand, if you want to come back at me and say, oh, come on, look at how he looks. No, I get that, and I'm not arguing that he necessarily did win those second rounds, but if you're going to, or that second round, but if you're going to go off of damage, which is the first scoring criteria, I could have given him 2 of the rounds. I mean, visually speaking, Stevens did not look good at the end of the fight. He was tired. He's kind of gassed out, and Collard had a better cardio tank and a really good chin, so he was able to take all the damage. I don't think that necessarily makes you a better fighter, in the long run, but, over 5 rounds, Collard, I think Collard wins this hands down. So, great fight. I'm still excited. I love watching Jeremy Stevens fight. I love watching Clay Collard. I think this was an amazing fight, and I'd watch him fight 2 or 3 more times. So Collard gets the decision win, so he gets 3 points. Second the co-main event, right? The former champion, or last year's champion, Manfio versus Don Madge. This was a good fight too, by the way. Madge was able to get out in front with the output and take in the first round pretty easily. Just keeping on the outside, landing leg kicks, landing jabs, doing good damage, keeping on the outside. Manfio was landing really good shots himself. He just didn't do enough. Second round, more of the same. But Manfio landed a big punch early, and he was pressuring the whole time, but he was just getting poked and prodded and outlanded as he was pressuring forward. Therefore, I had him lose in the second round. But it doesn't fucking matter because in the third round, Manfio gets this giant-ass right hand and knocks the dude out to get 4 points. So getting that bonus point in that third round, Manfio looked good, but he has obviously a lot of things he could work on, and he could be exploited very easily by somebody willing to put in the work and exploit those weaknesses. Good fight for him, though. All right. Let's see. Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Delon Monte. These guys used to train together. They're from the same place. Monte is from, he's fighting out of Curitiba, and I forget where Carlos Jr. is currently fighting out of, but doesn't matter. Dude, 28 seconds in, Shoeface, Antonio Carlos Jr., his nickname is Shoeface, he got a Darce choke. It was nuts. He landed a good right hand, jumps into a takedown, and then locked up a Darce choke crazy fast. 6 points for him. Crazy. That's exactly how he started the last season too. He is last season's heavyweight champion. Olivier Aubin-Mercier, OAM, versus Nathan Schultz. OAM was landing at distance, not using his wrestling as much as I usually see him do, but he was damaging nonetheless. 10-9 for him in the first round. Close round with the second one because Schultz kept moving forward, but OAM kept digging in low kicks, and I gave OAM the second round because I felt like he did more damage. And then in the third round, it was all Schultz with the pressure and control, and mostly through cumulative shots on the ground. I gave it 29-28 in favor of OAM. Split decision. Right? I'm not mad at that. That second round, I did say it was close. So, someone giving that to Nathan, that's fine. But I did have OAM winning, and that's what happened. Split decision for him. He gets 3 points. All right. Emiliano Sorti versus Cory Hendricks. The first round, it was a pretty fun round, ending with some really good grappling exchanges. These guys were rolling for leg locks and intertwining and going back and forth. It was a knee bar. Hendricks was caught in a calf slicer, and then through a series of events, gets himself got Sorti in a calf slicer to end the round. It was fun. It was a really fun grappling exchange. I felt like Hendricks was more in control more often, so I gave him the first round. None of this matters. Sorti's left leg was shot from leg kicks in the second round. He was hopping and wincing, and he was just standing like he wasn't able to move around properly. And Hendricks got and eventually chopped him down, got him down, and got onto his back, and then mounted him and got a TKO finish for 5 points, going to Cory Hendricks. That's in the light heavyweight division. Sorry. Carlos Jr. is a light heavyweight, not a heavyweight. He competed at heavyweight in the not the Contender Series, the Brazil's. What the heck? The frickin' the UFC reality show. Why can't I remember it? It doesn't matter because nobody watches it anymore. Tough. The Ultimate Fighter. That's what it's called. Stevie Ray versus Alexander Martinez. Martinez with the harder shots and did some damage when he had top control and when he had the opportunity in the first round. I gave him the first round 10-9. Sorti's left leg was shot. Oh, sorry. Whoops. That's my other notes from the last one. Stevie Ray dropped him with a left hand, but Martinez recovered fast and controlled most of the round, giving him the scoring criteria. I think giving the scoring criteria, I gave the second round to Stevie Ray, so I had it going tied going into the third, but the damage and control in the third round definitely went to Martinez, so he won that one. Stevie Ray just did not look like he had it in that third round. He just looked out of it and kind of slow. I don't know if he, like I said, didn't have, like I said earlier, didn't have the gas tank for it and couldn't push the way he wanted to. He just not ideal. Bad way to end the fight. Theodoros Oxtiolus versus Martin Hamlet. Hamlet with the takedown and ground and pound for all 3 rounds. I'm not describing this fight. It was kind of not a letdown, but definitely a break, I could say, from the excitement that preceded it, which we will get into. Victor Pesta versus Omari Akhmadov. Akhmadov, the former UFC fighter who always had cardio issues, if I am remembering correctly. Omari with this nasty fucking KO in the first round. Like, holy shit, big right hand KO. He was like, Pesta was out as he fell down. Easy 6 points for Akhmadov. Nasty knockout. You definitely can watch that on the highlights, and that's the whole fight. I think it was only like 45 seconds or a minute or something like that. Robert Wilkinson versus Brucey Soto. Wilkinson with an early takedown and domination through round 1, so he had that 10-9, and then Wilkinson caught him with a great uppercut and rocked him, and then kept pouncing on him for the finish. 5 points to him for finishing in the second round. Wilkinson with the great TKO finish, so that fight was fun. And then to open up the card, Clinton Williams versus Simeon Powell. Williams looked uncomfortable, and he's a shorter fighter, so he was having problems with range management and that kind of stuff. Williams also like kept walking forward and not cutting off the cage, and he was chasing. He started to do much better in the second. He lost the first round easily, just damage-wise. And then in the second round, he started to look a little bit better, but he just, you could tell he was kind of getting into a little bit of a rhythm. So, like, maybe in the third round, he's going to be able to do something. But then third round was going to Powell anyway, and then with 25 seconds left, Powell was pressing Williams against the cage, and then he let some pressure off and did a fadeaway knee and caught Williams right on the chin, and Williams like face planted. It was a nasty knockout. Crazy cool. Great way to open it up with those three TKO or 3 knockout finishes to start the card, and then ending it with that clay collar Jeremy Stephens. Not a classic necessarily, but the amount of it, like, just damage these guys were throwing at each other, and like over like 150 shots landed a piece. It's just unbelievable the amount of volume that each one of them absorbed and threw out. So that was the PFL 1 2022. This is the first PFL card this season from the regular season. I will be covering the rest of the regular season. We will see how that goes. I will try to make more of a point of it. There's Bellator this weekend, both Friday and Saturday, and there's also another UFC this weekend. So I will be doing a lot of these. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. You made it 18 minutes of my nonsensical ramblings and horrible, horrible radio voice. I both have a face. I have a face for radio and a voice for put them in the basement so nobody can hear them. I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, because you'll let me know that this video is what got you to subscribe, but also it'll let you know that, hey, I have another video, there's another video coming out. Like I said, I do at least one of these every single week. Lately, it's been 2 or 3. I cover every single UFC card. I cover Bellator, ONE FC, the American, some ONE FC, not all of them, the American Eagle FC cards, and now PFL. So I do cover all of those, and I would really appreciate it if you did that and give this video a like. All right, it is nice outside. I am going to wash my car for the first time this year. For the love of God, there is still so much salt and crap on my car, and the sun is out, so I'm going to go enjoy some time outside. You guys should do that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Love y'all.